Good morning, coffee moaners. Good morning, everybody. Just quickly, I just want to say from the outset, tonally, subject matter, this is solely focused on the terrifying, depressing, distressing, and astonishingly just horrendous news last night of the breaking of the ceasefire and the bombardment of Gaza by Israel.
Multiple
murders. So we're going to be solely focusing on that. A couple of things. Just want to do some housekeeping just quickly. Firstly, that's the subject matter of the day. So, you know, let's keep the chat kind of orientated around it, or let's share your thoughts when it feels appropriate, etc. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone for all of your messages last night. Yes, things forever evolving with my mum, but things are fine at the moment. But thank you, really appreciate it. And thank you for that. And also, finally, we are going to be showing some clips. I have made some decisions on certain clips that we're not going to show, but we are going to be pushing beyond our comfort zone in terms of where we've been in the past when we've shown footage or talked about the genocide in Gaza. We have often, in the spirit of not wanting to traumatize or trigger people, held back on the sheer horror of much of the footage that none of the mainstream media in the West ever shows, funnily enough, for taste and decency reasons, though there seems to be no issue with the taste and decency of actually doing it. And so consequently, whilst we aren't, there are a couple of clips I'm not going to show, but there are certain clips that go way beyond anything we've shown before. So we will give you warning. We will give you, you know, a sort of couple of seconds to either turn the volume down or look away. If we understand it's sometimes too traumatic. The reason for that is that I personally feel, and I think Nadia feels too, the world needs to know. And in our own small way, we have a platform. I have to say, I've looked at all the mainstream media. The Daily Mail has it as story number 8. It's much more important.
A lot of people might not know what the story is.
Yeah, so I'm going to share with you the story from The Guardian. I mean, you know, again, it's a mainstream media outlet, but it's not devoid of its own issues. But I'm just going to describe what's happened. So the report overnight is at least 250 Palestinians have been killed by renewed Israeli airstrikes. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the operation has been carried out to achieve the war objectives set by the political leadership, including the release of all hostages. Hamas has described the attack as a blatant violation of all international and humanitarian conventions. Images have come out from Gaza of dozens of dead children, dead women, dead men, elderly. An entire family has been taken out in one hit. And of course, it's the same old rubric that's being offered up. We were hitting Hamas operatives, etc., etc., etc. The UN rights chief is horrified by the deadly Israeli strikes on Gaza. The families of the hostages have themselves issued a statement. So bear this in mind, the families of the hostages, about which, you know, Netanyahu would argue this is what this is all about. He's doing it all
for them, isn't he?
So the statement from the Hostages and Missing Families Forum released a statement condemning the renewed attacks in Gaza. Quote, "The claim that the war is being renewed for the release of the hostages is a complete deception. Military pressure endangers the hostages and soldiers. We must return to the ceasefire." Turkey has come out against them. This has happened 24 hours after our very own extraordinarily tight-lipped David Lammy actually issued a statement. The Foreign Office issued a statement yesterday saying that Israel was breaking international humanitarian law. They said it definitively after 2 weeks of a aid blockade, electricity being turned off. The thing that Nadia's just said in her live, and I'm going to shut up in a minute, which is just so shocking, is none of this has been hidden. Everything has been signposted and projected to the world. We're going to turn off the electricity. We're going to stop the aid. And still,
there will be no food. There will be no, they are rats. We must extinguish them. And then Trump, more recently, we are going to turn it. We're going to just send them all somewhere else, and then we're going to turn it into the Riviera. Nothing should be a surprise to anyone. And this is the new era, the new world order, that you just say it out loud and you get away with it. we're going to be doing a Trump's America later today. You don't even want to know how horrific, well, you do, because it's the future for all of us, how horrific things are there. And the horror is these very wealthy, very evil, very powerful men that will do anything to hold on to their power are joining up. Putin, Trump, Netanyahu. This is unbelievable, an axis of evil. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's an axis of evil. The intensity, this is from a journalist on the ground yesterday. 200 journalists, don't forget, have been killed. They haven't accidentally lost their lives. They have been targeted in Gaza. 200 journalists murdered in Gaza. This is one that's still alive. The intensity of the bombing in Gaza City was so violent that many people killed were thrown out of their buildings. Their flesh was collected from the streets and the yards of other homes. This isn't new. We've seen the videos of this over the last year and a half. We've seen women being handed carrier bags of flesh and told, we think that's your child roughly by the weight. Mm. So none of this is new. And if I hear one more Western leader say, we have concerns. We know that we have no idea how many children have actually been murdered because the bombs are so ferocious that it blows them to pieces sky high. As Mark says, sorry, this is graphic and unpleasant, but imagine how graphic and unpleasant it is for the people.
I mean, it also
David Lammy, who are you?
It's
to keep your mouth shut.
It's really curious that we have checks and balances in the press to prevent certain material being shown,
but not in actual life.
But not in actual life, and we have those protections there. And isn't it interesting that those protections to prevent traumatizing viewers, triggering viewers, etc., I can't help but feel that Netanyahu's policy and the IDF's policy is one of knowing that. And knowing that they have a shield, they basically have cloud cover in the West.
And then you don't allow any Western journalists in. Yeah. And then the only news you allow out is through the IDF. And that's why there are 200 journalists many of them brutally targeted and killed because they don't want the information.
And then when you strain to get a story through the eye of a tiny sieve, as in the documentary How to Survive a War Zone, and no other land. Gazillions of people. I really want to ask the people who really were sort of excitable about pulling that documentary down. Do you sign up to this?
How many videos do we see of people saying Palestinian children should be killed because otherwise?
No, but I want to know about the Danny Cohens and everyone here. I want to know, do you sign up to this?
Oh, there would be a reason.
Do you sign up to this? I want to know how you square because I'm pretty sure that Danny Cohen, you wouldn't get behind Donald Trump. I want to know how you square that circle. I really do. I genuinely want to know how supporters or activists who try to pull those documentaries down, rather than circumnavigating the uncomfortable news, rather than only homing in on what you feel is an obvious kind of, the BBC is pro-Israel, the BBC.
What about the murdered children?
What about this? Where is your justification? Because I tell you now, the age-old line of hitting Hamas operatives, using human shields, etc., that is not how you conduct any war.
Do people realize in Israel that Netanyahu is using you as a human shield for his career?
He's using hostages too.
Every time these bombs are so ferocious. What is it? The equivalent now of probably 2 Hiroshimas have been dropped on an area the size of East London, right? Many of you've seen the pictures. It's devastation.
Could there be a connection between this sudden atrocity, a complete tearing up of whatever fragile ceasefire was there in the first place, and the fact that the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, is sacking the head of Shin Bet, their own interior secret agent, domestic intelligence agency? He's firing the head of his sort of MI5
intelligence,
his intelligence service, his version of he's sacking him because he knows basically Netanyahu is a dictator. He's a dictator, and the only people telling us he's not a dictator are other dictators. Because that'll beat around the bush. Trump is the next wannabe dictator.
I hope more people understand it now. Now we saw Trump just out in the open going, we're going to turn it into the Riviera, which is fine. They're checking out. They're checking out Africa. They're moving around the world, aren't they? Looking for where they might be able to just put the Palestinians with a big checkbook, offering poorer nations fat checks just to these Palestinians. They're called rats often enough. We've heard it over and over again in the Israeli government over and over again. So that's how they're trying to treat them.
And the terrible fact of the matter is the global politics all kind of gyrate as America tries to cozy up to Russia, as Russia kind of will cozy up to America, as they try and kind of unpick Iran away from Russia, as everyone gets frightened of China. Everything is negotiable. Everything is transactional. And at the heart of it all, there are people in a small, tiny strip of land being pounded time and again. What makes me so, what does anyone else get the strangeness of this? The most sophisticated army in the world, Israel's, an army and a government and a country that has nuclear warheads, the only country in the world with nuclear warheads that is not responsible nor obliged to sign up to the International Atomic Treaty, have their warheads, because everyone's pretending they don't have them. They don't have them.
He's like the most spoiled child in the entire world, demanding 4 billion more from America. I mean, I do find it fascinating. It's like a never-ending checkbook is open,
absolutely,
isn't it?
Absolutely. He is like the biggest bully in the playground, poking everyone around him in the eye and then moaning to Trump, going, nobody likes me. This is... And here's the other part of this story. As we woke up this morning to the news, saw the news breaking, the war of attrition is one. And as we even felt, I tried to put a notice up, actually. I meant to say, saying, trigger warning, we're going to be talking about serious things. YouTube banned me from putting Israel atrocity. Anyway. I
wish somebody would ban the actual atrocities. That's what would be so... Don't say the word.
I want to be able to have my cup of tea and not be disrupted or upset by any of this. Well, bully, well, okay. Well, do you know what? Behind your cup of tea is horror.
Without a doubt, if I post later on my Instagram at my fear and worry for these children who now, of course, you know, the blockade, there's no painkillers. You know, so people are coming in with the most horrific injuries and no painkillers. Yeah. Trust me. And it amuses me now. It actually amuses me. I will post, and the hate that I will get from some quarters, and
no hate for the people killing children.
Accusations that I will get when I'm saying, please, I'm really worried about these children and the fact they're going to have their arms and legs amputated with no painkiller. I will be pulled up severely on that. You wait.
Erin Bullimore, I just want to share this. I have had 3 messages blocked today, and I simply don't have a way to reword them to get around the block. No, so have I. Each time I've mentioned that we are appalled by the Israeli attack, it's got blocked. So I don't know what's going on there. It's kind of interesting. I just want to show you some things. Let me just remove that, Erin. America brokered a ceasefire, secured the release of half the prisoners, then gave the green light to resume genocide. This time, let's bear this in mind now, this time with internationally banned heavy missiles. Thank you, Purely Palestine, for that. I just also want to say, in a 2-minute window of time, 20 enormous bombs were dropped on Gaza. We're talking about one of the poorest, most decimated parts of the world,
where they have been
pounded by one of the most sophisticated armies. And this is a pathetic act of bullying.
Where they have been being starved, right? Yeah. They have been, their water restricted to a point where many wouldn't even be able to live. No medical aid, you know, and then you drop 20 bombs like that. It should be headline news. It should be rolling news.
I'm going to show some images from the night. These are some images that The Guardian are running that have been got out to Reuters. Obviously, people with their deceased relatives, entire families gone. There's This is footage of a school with a boy. This was taken, I think, very early this morning. State, as I said, the statement from the families of the hostages is there. I'm now going to show you. I am now going to show one clip. This is a clip, so be warned. Be warned. This is for sure. This is going to upset YouTube. If me saying I'm appalled by Israel's attacks has upset them, so let's watch YouTube be appalled by this.
Can I just say that's new? Look, New York Times. Video includes graphic imagery with actual.
Okay, so we're going to show you a clip now.
Wow.
Okay.
Don't say the word, anyone. Don't say the word. Allow the action. Don't say what you see. No location there when you get there.
What was noticeable about that was, did you see
been
how
watching
many,
this, by the way, videos and much worse than this for the last 17
how many children? You can't create children with injury. You know, the amount of children, the fact that the fact that we have ever, even after World War II, got to a place where there is the facility to say that collateral damage of this sort, this variety, is justified in any shape or form with anyone is beyond inhumane and barbaric. The fact that we have allowed this to even gain purchase to the point that it takes the Labour Party government 2 weeks to announce a blockade on aid, electricity, and all vital provisions as a breaking of international law after 17 months of totally equivalent and worse behaviour.
But don't forget, right at the beginning, I will never let anyone forget this. Keir, right at the beginning, said it was Israel's right to allow the electricity.
Turn off the taps.
Turn off the water, sorry, not electric, to be cut off. Water. That is absolutely breaking international law. We all know that you will die from thirst before you die from lack of food. And they have had their water controlled for decades, right? And then the screws for decades.
The idea
you're not even allowed to collect rain of fucking water in some areas. They control the wells. They've been blowing up the wells for since this began. And Starmer condoned it. So never mind just this latest blockade of 2 weeks. He said the words, yes, Israel has the right to defend itself, and that means Israel can do whatever it wants. Now, no Palestinian must defend themselves in any way, but Israel can defend themselves in any way and break every international law. Let us not forget, Netanyahu has an international warrant out for his arrest. It kind of doesn't even get mentioned anymore because they've done such a fantastic job, the world, of now all of a sudden, because international law doesn't suit the world, of making everyone just disassociate from it.
I mean, the machine, the propaganda machine, when we hear about the propaganda machine of Hamas, let's just pause for a minute about the multi-billion propaganda machine operating for Israel, because that propaganda machine has now tried to, or sought to, obviously not with most humanitarians, not with people who have empathetic hearts or have any emotional aspect to them whatsoever. They've managed to actually make an equation hold, which is it's okay to kill children, women, and men if you're hitting a Hamas terrorist. I mean, this doesn't, I will once again take us back the day after St. Patrick's Day. If when the IRA had bombed London, anyone had in any way suggested carpet bombing Belfast because there were 3 IRA operatives there, who would have got on board with that?
That's what's
Who?
happening.
That's not how you do it. And I'm now going to weirdly pivot towards some stand-up, which speaks to this very subject. And I really want to show this because this is Bill Burr, great American actor, comedian, Saturday Night Live guy. Listen to him just throw a sharp light on this.
Not allowed to do that, but it's still socially acceptable to shoot a missile in the general direction of somebody you're upset with. You're like, dude, there was like kids over there. This is my favorite response. Well, you know, they're using kids as human shields. It's like, well, you got to work around that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, if I'm mad at my neighbor and I want to beat the shit out of him, but he's holding a baby, right? I wouldn't come in and try to punch him through the baby.
Brilliant.
Yeah, you go in, you know, you throw a hook, you sweep the legs. You do it on the lawn so the baby bounces off the grass, all right? There's fucking rules to this shit.
There's fucking rules to this shit.
It's called being a human being.
Unless you're Netanyahu. I mean, the fact that no one, why are Western leaders calling him out as a desperate tyrant clinging to power? He only wants this war to stay in power. It's power with him. It's power with Putin. It's power with Trump. That's all it's about. Power.
And don't forget, we're all the little people too. We are the little people. We're just seeing it with the Palestinians, but we're all thought of the same by sociopathic leaders, whether it be Putin, whether it be Netanyahu, whether it be Trump, whether it be Trump. We are all just the little inconsequential, annoying fleas.
And don't get me wrong, what the reason I always drag us back to Danny Cohen and the lot who got rid of the documentary is that they would like to think they're liberal people. Yeah. What an absolute joke. Because we're in a situation now with this, I forget his name, the chap who's being thrown out of Columbia University, threatened to, Muhammad, he's going to be exported. That's the threat. If that can happen to him, the same can happen to us. Yeah. The same can happen to us. The same can happen to you. This is why. And what do people do in the face of this potential threat? Just go quiet, say nothing. Are you trying to tell me that all those liberal former workers of the BBC who got that documentary pulled down, do you support Trump? Do you? I'd love to know. I would never have thought so.
He's holding Netanyahu's hand, and they're skipping around the playground together, deciding who to bully next. Bully boys. Cheap, cowardly bully boys.
But as he says, there's rules to this shit. There's rules to this shit. Even on Nick Ferrari's LBC. Have a listen to this.
We know how.
And we know where Nick Ferrari is. Yeah, so listen to this.
And also, this decision by Netanyahu comes just 2 days after he decided to sack the intelligence chief. So I think it caught a lot of Israelis by surprise. And of course, the families of the hostages are furious. They've said it's essentially a death sentence for the remaining hostages, what just happened.
Do you think that the Israeli government feels that this is going to actually bring Hamas to the table? Because it's highly unlikely. History shows that to be likely the exact opposite, isn't it?
I think you're right. I don't think that they believe that this is going to bring Hamas back to the table. Of course, they have to say that because that's the official explanation for this. But I think their main goal right now is just to go to war against Hamas and to eradicate, if they can, what's left of Hamas. Because initial show that Hamas currently has around 25,000 fighters and Islamic Jihad has 5,000. That is quite a large number of people inside Gaza who still belong to the terror groups that Israel said they were going to eradicate.
What's the ultimate game plan for Benjamin Netanyahu, do you imagine, Yotam?
The ultimate game plan for Netanyahu is always to stay in power. That goes without saying. That's his first priority, and it shows that with all of his decisions that he's made in the past 17 months. Because if he were to listen to the interests of the Israeli people, the majority say continue the ceasefire.
Power.
Read out some messages.
It's power.
Hi, Farida. How are you feeling?
Charlene Evans, I have never seen more beautiful, loving, resilient people than the Palestinians. I hope they keep going with God's and rise up after this and rule the world. Lucy Heaney, the US State Department is using AI to scan pro-Palestinian social media accounts and will have visas revoked.
They're also just, people are coming through, they're plugging something into the phone and just downloading everything from their phone.
Yeah.
Well, we won't be going to America. For me, I've boycotted America.
Karen Reynolds, a few apps I read, something disturbing. The world will be run by 3 states, Russia, America, China. So yes, we are
the little people.
Why are politicians, Gabrielle, so uncaring or scared of helping Gaza?
That's the question. Why are we all whispering when we're asking for children not to be murdered?
It was Charlene Evans. It was never about Hamas or the hostages.
It's about the oil.
About the oil and the land. Fascism starts with little things like disability cuts, then we get deported. We cannot be shocked when it happens, but what is anyone going to do?
We can't be shocked because they've said it all in plain sight. Let's not forget the satire video that about the Riviera, the Gaza Riviera, that Trump proudly reposted. He liked that image.
They believe that they are going to wipe out a whole population, Victoria Moore. What else could they possibly believe they are doing?
Well, they've told us that's what they want to do. They've told us, and they've said that all babies and children in Hamas, in Palestine, grow up to be Hamas.
Zoe Agnew, so angry. How dare they do this? Anna Marie Shallard, no wonder they wanted Corbyn out. He was sat behind MP Tony Benn when he gave a moving speech about being against war 30 years ago.
I've seen that speech, that incredible speech.
Really is a dark entity in Parliament. Yeah, it's just horrendous. The whole story and the whole, as we woke up this morning, I cannot even begin to tell you the degree. Obviously, it hasn't stopped, but the extent to which one had to dig deep yet again and have to go there and have to mine the hopelessness one feels and try and somehow transform that into hope, action, publicity, showing and sharing the awfulness of what's going on, and yet nothing needs to change. It's like I have a selection of celebrities, influencers, commentators, channels that I go to, willing them to acknowledge in some small way what's going on and to take the risk of saying something. And with every day that goes by, I don't see them say anything. It is death by 1,000 cuts. My respect and my hostility towards their lack of humanity increases. It's beyond depressing watching the cowardice as much as watching the barbarism. There's the barbarism and then there's the cowardice.
Appalling things happen when good men and women stand by and say fuck all.
Lucy Heaney, I will not be going to America either. And McGregor being invited to the White House to speak on behalf of the Irish people when he has no right to do so cemented my decision.
That enraged so many, didn't it? Oh, guys.
MeTube, just to cheer us all up. China has recently discovered an estimated 60,000 years of thorium. Energy-wise, they're set. Nuclear power without uranium.
Really?
Wow. Good God, I've never even heard of
thorium.
Is it named thorium after Thor, the god of war, isn't he? Thor, I think.
Exactly, Aaron. We're looking at, that's what we discussed yesterday, looking at disability cuts here as well. Yeah. Little bits and pieces, just knock us all down while we're all sleeping.
My prediction,
wake up.
My prediction for the next 2 weeks, just so you know what I think is going to happen, is Israel and America are going to slam and slap hard Iran. I think, this whole, even the awfulness of this is going to be eclipsed by
God help the world
conflict.
then. So God help the world if that all kicks off.
That's what's happening. That's what's being negotiated between Russia and America at the moment. America is trying to secure Russia's inactivity and trying to say to Russia, just sit on your hands if we try and do something about Iran.
Yeah,
promise you.
But what's so great about that is Trump jumps around like Putin is his new friend. Putin is nobody's friend.
Yeah, they're all as mad as each other.
He is playing him like a fiddle. And he thinks he's he's the big bully, and then he's the other big bully, and he thinks, oh, this is my bully friend. We've seen this at work. I can think of situations through my life at work when you've got the major bully, and then another bully comes in, and they align each other, and for safety. And it's for me, it's kind of like a beautiful moment when you see the fear of bullies, because but that bully could at any moment turn against you, so. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of Please, God, let's keep the world
Keep
safe while they're all playing their games.
Yeah, keep on asking, Zoe. Why are so many people in the public
And
eye
why-
still so silent?
And why, when people come and talk to me and say, thank you for speaking up about Gaza, why do they whisper? Why do they whisper?
That tells you everything.
Very famous people that come up to me who are strong and opinionated, they come up to me and they whisper, thank you for what you do about Gaza. Like that. Why? It's a question we need to keep asking ourselves. Why are people whispering?
And I'm really fascinated and interested to see if there are, I'm sensing there's something different with YouTube today. So I'm really interested to see what happens to this live.
What do you mean?
Well, I've never had comments that I've placed as not only the moderator, but the channel banned.
Right. So there's a
was,
lot of power making sure this story doesn't get out.
We are appalled by Israel's actions overnight. That's all I put. And 3 times it got cancelled.
So what was the word? Appalled?
Israel action overnight. Interesting. When I said good morning, everyone, it posted. So keep your eyes on this. Thank me, too. Final thought. Very astute and to the point. Putin is negotiating the end of the war, not a ceasefire. Not sure Trump gets that. Trump doesn't get a lot. He doesn't get a lot. He's too busy. He's too busy truth socialing.
Oh, he's really gone doolally.
I mean,
we are hoping to do Trump's America tonight because there's a lot been going on over there.
Okay, all right, guys.
Thanks, guys, for sticking with us. Thanks for listening. Thank you for all of those that do say to us.
Yes.
You know, we do get a lot of comments saying thank you because I didn't know anything about that, and I can't tell you. That to me is the most meaningful thing of anything that we do on our social media. It's like if influence is about just opening a person's eyes, not necessarily to agree, but just to go, oh, okay, I didn't know this. I'm going to have a look at this and then still disagree. That's fine. But that is meaningful. I was watching a little interview with, so his name escapes me, the Egyptian actor from the Princess Diana. Who has been arrested now for being on a peaceful march, which is just hilarious. Anyway, he was doing an interview and he said, you know, people say to me all the time, at what cost is it to you? Because there is a cost for anyone in the public eye that speaks up for Gaza. And he was being asked about that. And he said, people ask me all the time, I said, but what nobody ever asks me is, how has your life been enriched by stoically going with your heart and your soul and your conscience and your moral and finding your moral code? And he said, that has enriched my life. And I just thought, yeah, too fucking right.
Yeah. Thanks,
so
guys. And thanks for looking out for each other as well. I see the way you all communicate with each other. And, you know, sometimes there's the danger of thinking sometimes, and it's been said, you know, you're in an echo chamber, you're talking, we know that the vast majority of you guys here get it. We also know there are those watching who aren't commenting, who refuse to get it and don't want to get it and all that kind of stuff.
And there'll also be people watching this that will want to find one word that has been said that then we can be accused of being something we are not.
But I would throw ourselves back in history. There are certain occasions where, and we can think of the most obvious horrific moments in recent history in the last century, where no one would query or question whether it happened and what was happening and the awfulness of what happened. And I hate to say it, we are simply in a real life, active, happening one of those. And so to be saying it now, the fact that it's dangerous or contentious or people are querying whether it's accurate is beyond belief. Because we only discovered the true horrors of many atrocities in the past after the event.
Because there was no video and there was no dictator telling you exactly what the plan was.
And believe it or not, there was actually shame about it. So they weren't promoting it and telegraphing it to the world.
Now it's shameless.
So now it's shameless. It's promoted. It's done without any desire or attempt. I mean, I remember when atrocities were committed against Gaza 10 years ago. And they've been going on all the time. And there would be a splurge of kind of activity, and the Turkish would and the UN would get a ship in, do you remember, to go and analyze it. International observers would come in and analyze the bomb fragments of a hospital that was hit. This was how serious each and every individual event would occur. That's all gone.
In the first few weeks of this military aggression, the first time the hospital was blown up, and we thought, oh right, this is going to be it. This isn't going to. This was the first time we spoke to about. Yeah, that was Hamas. It was like,
and that obviously worked for most of the media, and they just tried it again and again and again.
Then spoke about how the bombs that they have wouldn't be able to do that, and why would they bomb their own hospital? And it was like,
so shocking.
And then we didn't know then. What we know that we were going to have to buckle up for this sort of thing to be told to us over and over again. We've seen open graves. We've seen people taken from their beds with ties behind their back, and their bodies in the open grave. We've seen everything, and nothing changed anything. No. And this will change nothing.
Let's home in on a documentary of all this.
Yeah. What BBC?
Yeah, with the BBC. Oh, I'll tell you what. Yeah. Really?
Yes. Oh God, they hadn't actually filled in that form.
Good God. Okay. All right, guys, keep the comments coming, keep the support going, keep the message spreading. Obviously, there's going to be stuff landing on Instagram. Share stories, share feelings, share sympathy and empathy, and right down to, let's once again go back to the very thing of the hostages' families don't want this.
This is not about getting the hostages
back. We can query what they want after they've got their hostages back.
Let's not forget, it's not self-defense at this point.
It hasn't been self-defense for God knows how long. Oh, okay. All right, guys. Have a good day. The vlog will be landing subsequent to, obviously, the Nanny Di issue yesterday. So that will be landing later today. Okay, guys.